Hey everyone, welcome to another live masterclass exclusive for Saxophone Masterclass members. So excited you're all here with me. We've got Pat here, we've got Jan, we've got Gertie, we've got Fred, we've got Joe, Terrence. A lot of you turned up today. I'm really excited about this. Terrence says, I'm loving the community as well as the tutorials. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. That's very cool. I've got a whole new system going on here, so I hope this works. It runs smoothly, and I hope the presentation is a little better. So today we're talking about the perfect practice plan. Okay, so I'm trying to show you how you can curate the perfect practice plan for your practice sessions. Okay, so this is going to help you plan not just your daily plans, but your weekly plans, your monthly plans, even your yearly plans, right? It's about finding goals that you want to achieve, writing them out, coming up with objectives within those goals so you can step by step start to achieve those goals on the saxophone. Okay? This is what it's all about. And we're going to go through everything today. And I'm going to open it up to questions, maybe in the middle and at the end as well. But I'm just going to go through, get started with what I prepare for you guys. So the first thing you want to think about when you're coming up with your practice plan is which of the 5 core principles of the saxophone mastery system am I working on? Okay. And the 5 core principles are tone, scales, technique, improvisation, and embellishments. All right, so these are the 5 core principles of the saxophone mastery system. This is the saxophone mastery system I created to help students focus on what they need to work on the saxophone, right? Now, as a beginner, maybe even intermediate player, you only really want to be focusing on tone, scales, and technique, right? The first 3 core principles. This is the foundation of pretty much everything related to the saxophone and learning music on the saxophone. If you're a little more advanced, intermediate, advanced, you can start focusing on the improvisational stuff and the embellishments, right? We're going to get into a little more detail. But the main thing is that you want to have an overarching goal of, say, learning a song, and then you want to have objectives within that goal of how you can improve on your tone, your scales, your technique, and if you're a little more advanced, improvisation and embellishments, right? So a goal should be a song you want to learn, right? Perhaps you want to perform this song in public or for friends and family, or maybe you just always want to learn it, right? It's just a song you've always wanted to learn, but you haven't been able to learn it yet. You're still trying to work your way towards it. And so, or maybe you want to go busking. Maybe you want to start performing on the streets, whatever it is, right? You need to have a sort of a big goal of what it is you're trying to achieve. And this could be a multitude of songs. It could be a whole repertoire of songs that you're trying to work on, you're trying to learn, right? So you might have a yearly goal of, I'm trying to learn these 10 songs, you know, or a 6-month goal of like, I'm trying to learn these 10 songs. So you write out those 10 songs. And then you want to have a weekly or monthly goal of learning one of those songs, right? And when you're working on that song, you want to have other objectives that relate to the 5 core principles of the saxophone mastery system. So you work on a song and you're like, okay, I need to work on my lower notes. I need to work on my higher notes. I need to work on memorizing this scale, right? These are examples. But it all relates to the saxophone mastery system. So you have to break it down. So what I've done here is I've given you kind of examples of different objectives within each core principle. So within the core principle of tone, right? there's a variety of different goals that you can focus on, a variety of different objectives you can focus on, such as being able to stay in tune across the whole range of the instrument, right? So when you're playing up in those high notes, you can keep them in tune. When you're playing the low notes, you can keep them in tune, right? The high notes tend to go sharp, the low notes tend to go flat, right? You also just want to be able to play those higher notes and low notes with consistency, right? A lot of beginners struggle with getting those low notes out consistently. I mean, I even still struggle with that sometimes. Every now and again, I won't be able to get out that low note, you know? And same thing with the high notes. You want to be able to get those high notes consistently every time you play. And this is always something you're going to have to work on. Having a full round tone instead of a thin tone. Okay, so you want to be able to have more body to your sound. So these are just examples of things you can be working on when you're working on that specific goal of a song, right? Working on your vibrato or legato playing. And a great song would be like a slower ballad. So you can really focus in on this aspect of your playing. You choose a slow song so you can work on your vibrato, your legato, and create that smooth transitions between the notes, right? Create those smooth transitions. Develop your breathing technique so you can play long passages. Again, a slow song is great for this because you're going to have to need more breath to get through those passages that are slower, right? And then working on and developing your embouchure muscles. Okay, so this is just objectives within the tone principle that you want to consider, right? So let's say I pick a song, and I have a few examples here. I thought Silent Night would be appropriate, right? As we're coming into Christmas soon. And the holidays. So this is a perfect song to practice. And this is inside the Saxophone Masterclass membership under the Learn Songs and Solo section, right? So if you want to learn this song, you can either go into Saxophone from Scratch to Success here. And this is going to be in module 4, okay? And you can learn this song. But this is a great song to work on when you want to work on your breathing and your tone, as well as your vibrato and legato playing, right? Because it's nice and slow, and it requires you to play all the notes connected. Okay, so let's say you want to learn this song. Don't just go straight into learning the song. Think about, what can I work on within this song to help me with my tone? Okay, and we're going to talk about the different core principles, but I'm just focusing on tone right now. What can I work on within this song that will help me with my tone? Okay, and the main thing is being able to play legato, right, which is smooth and connected lines. Being able to play high notes, right, like B flat here. This is another this is another objective you can have, like playing that high B flat. All right, that's a relatively high note on the saxophone that can be hard to keep in tune, right? So this is another great song for helping you keep in tune in those higher notes. And also with helping you with your breathing, right? Helping you work on your deep diaphragmatic breathing so you can play these passages without losing breath. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to play it for you now. I'm just going to go through it and give you a little more detail on what I mean. So let's say I'll just play the whole song. Okay, so that's the full song. And as we go through it, I can show you how you can work on your tone in this song. All right. So, number one, when we get to bar 9 here, right, this is going to be relatively challenging because it's a long passage, right? This is a long passage here, right? So, this is a hard part to get. It requires a lot of breath. And as a beginner, it might be hard, or even an intermediate player, it might be hard to play that entire passage in one breath, right? So when you're starting to play it, you want to, when you're working on this part of the song, you want to think about, how can I work on my breathing here? Okay, so number one, you want to actually do breathing exercises before you play the song, right? You want to do diaphragmatic breathing exercises, right? Pull in from your diaphragm here. And fill up your diaphragm so that you can have enough breath to get this passage. So even before you start playing the song, you want to work on your breathing exercises and getting a good diaphragmatic breath. And then you want to also just practice long tones, okay? And you want to work on long tones within the key, which is F major, right? So you just take diaphragmatic breath. And you want to practice getting as long as a tone as possible. Okay? So this is important. When you're picking out songs that you want to learn, you need to consider, okay, well, how can this help me with working on my tone? And this is a perfect example of how you can work on your breathing, which is all very much, it's one of the most important, if the most important part of getting a good tone on saxophone is your breathing technique. And this is a great passage to practice and a great reason to work on your breathing so that you can play the entire passage in one breath. Okay? So I hope everyone's following. Another thing that you can work on with this is your higher notes. Okay, so when you get down here, past your 17, we're kind of getting to the higher register here. These notes are hard to get in tune, right? So this is a great way to start practicing your high notes and working on exercises to help you with your high notes, right? So let's just play, a few of these notes starting on F, right? Going up to B flat here. Okay? So let's just work on these notes. We're going to play these two notes, but we're going to add in G and A as well, like this. So I'm just playing those higher notes with the octave key, F, G, A, B flat, A, G, F. And I'm just working on those higher notes in this song, taking a good deep diaphragmatic breath and making sure they're full, they're round, they're in tune, right? You can use a tuner to make sure that you're getting them in tune and just practice different exercises, right? the great exercise to work on your high notes if you're having trouble getting up there is just start on F, move up to the next note, which is G, and then go back down to F like this. Right? Don't tongue the notes, just do legato, which means you don't tongue. And this is going to, keep the notes smooth and connected, which is also great for your legato playing, right? You want to keep this song very legato, smooth, connected. The notes, you're not stopping in between the notes like this. Okay, this is this is a difficult technique to master. Is like you want to keep the notes connected. Okay, now I'm tonguing that G note here to define it, right? So everything else is legato except for this G note, okay? Because I have to define it as a separate note by tonguing it, right? A complete beginner, you might want to tongue all the notes because it might be hard to get them all legato. But the most important thing is keep them connected. Keep them, you don't want to keep a space in between like this. Okay? Legato playing is an important part of your tone. Keeping the smooth and keeping it smooth, keeping it connected is important to help you with your keeping a nice tone on the sax, right? And then also just getting those high notes. So you can work on those high notes, again, going F to G to F. Then just go from F to G. And then just play G by itself. And then we do the same exercise, but we go up to the next thing. G to A to G. Then just G to A. And then just A by itself. This is a great exercise to start working on those high notes as you keep going up into the higher register, right? So let's go now from A to B flat down to A. Then A to B flat. And then just B flat. So this is a great exercise to work on high notes. And these are now exercises you can do to help you with playing this song, to help you with getting a great tone on this song, to help you with getting a full body tone on the song, to help you with playing the passages without losing breath. Okay, so I hope you're following. So these are the things you need to consider when you're picking your goals and you're picking your objectives. Okay? Right? The goal is the song you want to learn. It might be a multitude of songs, and it might be a song you want to perform for friends and family. It might be a song you want to play in public, go busking with, whatever it might be. Now, when you're picking the song, you have to make sure that it's not too easy, but it's also not too difficult, right? So you have to make sure that, okay, you might love a song. You might be like, I really want to learn this song. I love it. But it might be too difficult. It might go too low and it's too hard to get those low notes. It might go too high and it's too hard to get those high notes. There might be other difficulties with the scale, right? So these are some different scale objectives. It might be in too difficult a key, right? There might be difficult passages that are just too hard for your level. So it's really important to choose a goal, a song that is just at the right level of where you're at, right? And that's where I come in, right? That's where you can basically go through my saxophone from scratch to success course where everything is in increasing difficulty. And if you do want to learn another song, you can just ask me, listen, I'm trying to learn this song. This is the key. This is the version. This is the sheet music. You can show me the sheet music and I can say, I can, if I've heard you play, I can let you know, well, this might be too difficult. This might be, maybe it's easy, so you'll have no problem with it. Or maybe it's right in the middle and it's a scale you don't know. It's certain tone exercises or certain tone challenges that, are just right for you in terms of your level. It might be, you know, some technical stuff in the song that is just a little bit more challenging for you, depend related to your level, right? So that's the thing that you have to figure out, which is why I recommend people going through the saxophone from scratch to success course, because I'm giving everything in increasing difficulty. So let's move on to scale objectives. Okay. And this is now the second core principle, right? And you're going to you want to make sure that the song is going to help you with improving your scales. So for example, learning new scales that you don't know yet, right? If you don't know F major, then it would be perfect for you to work on this song, right? Because this is in F major. It's 1 flat, B flat, that's F major. If we go down here, we can see it uses the F major scale. And you can work on those fingerings, you can work on the scale, and you can start to really internalize that scale, okay? So that's another thing to consider. And when you learn that scale, it's going to help you with learning to read sheet music or learning other songs in that specific key or scale, right? So if you learn the song in F major, you haven't learned a song in F major yet. Well, when you come to another song that's in F major, you're going to already know the scale. You're already going to be familiar with another song that uses that scale. So it's going to make it easier for you to learn another song in F major, right? Knowing what notes to play when you're improvising. When you learn the scale, it's going to help you with improvising on that scale, because improvising is going to be based around a scale or set of scales, right? It's going to help you with learning new songs by ear as well. So if you know the key of F major, you've been working on Silent Night, well, now when it comes to another song that's in the same key, you're going to have an easier time learning it, because you've learned the scale. You'll be able to figure out the notes easier using the scale on the sax. And then it's also going to help you with transposing a song into different keys, right? So if you're like, I know the song in G major, but I want to learn it in F major. Well, I know what the notes of F major are, and I can transpose it and play it in a different key. Okay, so that's another important part of another objective in terms of achieving your goals on the saxophone, right? I want to learn Silent Night. Well, work on the scale of Silent Night. How do you work on the scale of Silent Night? You practice different techniques and memorization techniques so that you can learn this scale and internalize the scale, right? And the process is to simply finger the scale, right? F major, and first of all, just figure out what the fingerings are, right? And I have the fingering chart there, so you can actually see the fingering chart and just work through learning the scale. F, right? G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Say it out loud. Get it in your head. Get it in your muscle memory, what the scale is. This is going to really help you with learning the song. Go back down the scale. F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F. Okay, internalize the scale simply with fingerings and the note names. And if that's too easy for you, do the same thing, but across the whole range of the instrument. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C. Going into the palm keys, D, E, F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F, E, D, C, B flat. Now going down lower, A, G, F, E, D, down to low C, low B flat, C, D, E, F. Okay, really internalize the entire scale across the whole range of the instrument. This is another objective that you need to have when you're planning out your practice sessions, because if you can do this and you can memorize the fingerings and memorize the note names, it's going to make learning, first of all, this song, Silent Night, a lot easier, but also learning other songs that are in the same key a lot easier. Okay, so that's another objective that you want to have when you're planning out your practice sessions. Okay? And the next objective is going to be core principle number 3, technique objectives, right? And there's a lot more to work on here. Okay, learning how to tongue the reed in different ways, improving your internal rhythm so you can play in time, gaining more dexterity in your fingers so you can play with speed and have more control over the saxophone, being able to transition between lower and higher octave with ease, transition through trouble spots like the break on the sax between C and D and between B and middle C, as well as palm key fingerings in the higher register. Okay, so these are now other objectives you need to consider when you're working on a song or when you're choosing a song and a goal that you have, right? And in the case of Silent Night, there's a few different technique objectives here, right? Number 1 is right here, the beginning between C and D, right? This is the break in the saxophone. C to D. It's a hard transition to get, right? Even if you've been playing for months or years, that transition can be hard because you're going from middle C and pressing all the keys down with the octave key. So to get that fast, it can be hard, okay? And this is a great song to start working on that. Right? This is a great song to start working on that transition between C and D. So this is now a technical exercise that you can work on. Just practice going from C to D back and forth. This is now an objective. You're trying to, your goal, your objective here is to transition between C and D with ease, smoothly, right? Start with tonguing both notes. Then transition to doing it legato. Work on it with a metronome, etc., etc. Right? This is now something you want to work on before you even approach the song. This is something now you want to work on before you even approach playing the song, okay? So that's one example of a technique objective. And then we have other stuff, right? Simply improving your rhythm, your internal rhythm, is another objective in this song. You want to be able to play everything in time. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. It's in 3/4. Okay, so it's 3 beats per bar. And you want to practice with a metronome to play this in time. Put it at, 60 or maybe 70. Right? Playing that, repeating that, trying to get it in time is another technical objective that you can work on. And you can isolate just those 4 notes at the beginning and play it in time like that. And you can work on different technical exercises in F major so that you can really get that solid, right? You could work on F major in thirds to help you. Okay, these are all objectives that are going to help you with playing this song. Okay, I hope everyone's following. And so these are things you need to consider when you're picking your goal, you're picking the song that you want. Okay, how can this help me with improving different parts of my saxophone playing? Okay, in this song, it's helping you improve your high notes, it's helping you improve your breathing, it's helping you improve your technique between C and D across the break. It's helping you with learning the scale of F major. There's all these different objectives happening within the song. Okay. So like an example then, before we move on, putting together your plan, right, is to now set a goal, create a song goal for the week, right? Maybe a month, depending on how difficult the song is. What is your goal? Okay. Let's use the example now of so just as an example, you create a daily plan for that, right? The daily plan is going to consist of your objectives that are going to help you achieve that goal. And divide your daily plan into 10-minute segments or 20-minute segments, 30-minute segments, 45-minute segments that focus on individual objectives, right? Up to 1 hour or more. If you 1 hour is a nice sweet spot for practicing the saxophone on a daily basis, 3, 4, 5 days a week. If you can do more, excellent. But if you can get that 1 hour, 3, 4, 5 days a week, a lot better. So for example, on day 1, right, you want to work on your breathing exercises, your long tones for 10 minutes on the scale that you're working on, right? You want to practice and memorize, for example, C major. Say the song is in C major. So you want to practice the C major fingerings for 10 minutes. Okay? And then technique, you want to practice C major in 2 octaves, right? So say you're working on a song in C major. Okay? Let me find it for you here. Let's say we use the song um, Amazing Grace, right? Here it is. And this is in C major. Okay, this is now an example of how you can use C major to help you with your goals and objectives. Okay? You work on your breathing exercises. One second, guys. Sorry. You work on your breathing exercises. You work on your long tones on the scale of C major. Right? That's going to help you with playing Amazing Grace. Because Amazing Grace is in the key of C major. Okay, so Amazing Grace is in C major. It's in the key of C major. So if you want to learn Amazing Grace, you work on your breathing exercises and long tones on the scale of C major. That's going to help you with learning the song. So start with diaphragmatic breathing, pulling in the air from your diaphragm, right? That's a long tone on C. Long tone on D. Long tone on E, right? These are great exercises now to help you with achieving your goal of learning this song. Do that for 10 minutes before you even play the song. Practice and memorize C major scale fingerings for 10 minutes. So you work through the fingerings. C, D, low C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Say them out loud. Get it in your muscle memory. Get it down so that you'll never forget it. On the way back, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And that's going to help you with playing the notes of the song. Go back to it. The entire song contains all C major notes. G, C, G, C, E, C, E, D, C, A, G, right? Get those fingerings into your muscle memory. Then technically you want to practice. The C major scale. Okay? So you practice C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now we're going to work on C major. Okay? So now this is also helping us with playing the song. So you focus on these three things, your tone, your scales, your technique, in order to prepare for playing the song, and you come up with a specific plan that is based around the song. And then you start working on the song. And you start practicing the two phrases. Okay? The first 2 phrases. Right? We're going to work on phrase 1 and we're going to work on phrase 2. Messed up there. Start again. Right? And you work on it and focus in on those first 4 bars. And you keep practicing it until you get it, right? You might want to practice it where it's all connected and all legato. And make sure you get it more or less perfect at that first phrase before you move on. Then you move on to phrase 2. Okay, that's going to require a lot of breath to get that entire phrase. You take a deep diaphragmatic breath and work on it. And just focus in on those 2 phrases, right? So we're halfway through our goal of learning Amazing Grace, okay? And now we move, that's your day 1. You've done great. You've practiced those, focused in on those core principles, tone, scales, technique, and now you've been working on the song. All of those core principles, all of those objectives you're working on, tone, scales, technique, have helped you with learning the song. You move to day 2. It's kind of the same, but it's slightly different, right? Breathing exercises, but then now you're going to work on your high notes, right? You want to work on playing those higher notes. Okay? So now we're focusing in on that for 10 minutes. We're focusing on breathing and we're focusing in on high notes. This is just an example. You can switch it up however way you want, but everything should have an objective of helping you learn the song, right? With the scale, you want to keep practicing and memorizing all the fingerings, okay? You might not have completely memorized it yet. Now try it without looking at any sheet music or any fingerings. You just start going through the fingerings. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, right? Maybe you do it a little faster. You do that for 10 minutes, really get it into your head. Then you move on to technique. And now you want to practice C major in thirds, okay? Maybe you start off playing C major, just 2 octaves. But you also want to practice in thirds. So now you start working on C major in thirds. Okay, this is all preparing you, warming you up to now work on the second 2 phrases, phrase 3 and 4 of the song. So you revise phrase 1 and 2. Okay, we got that. Now we move on to phrase 3 and 4. Let's work on it. Okay, that's 3. Let's try it again. Okay, we got it. Let's move on to phrase 4. Now, ideally, you want to get each phrase perfect 3 times before you move on. Okay, that's the goal. Work on each phrase 3 times until you get it perfect, and then move on. So I did it twice here. Let's do it a third time so that we know, okay, I got this phrase. Excellent. We got it 3 times. We got it perfectly every time. Let's move on to phrase 4. We got phrase 4 perfectly 3 times. And now we practice 3 and 4 together. Excellent. We do that 3 times, play it perfectly 3 times, and there's a practice session. Okay, so I'm kind of rushing through, I'm speeding up the practice session, but that's how you want your practice sessions to go, right? You want to be thinking about, what can I work on when it comes to tone? What can I work on when it comes to scales? What can I work on when it comes to technique? Give it 10 minutes each. Maybe you want to give tone 5 minutes. Maybe you want to give it 20 minutes. It depends on how much you need to practice each of these things, right? Maybe your weak points are scales. So you want to think about scales and focus more on that for 20 minutes and just do tone for 5 minutes, maybe technique for 5 or 10 minutes. Whatever, you have to, come up with what do I need to work on the most? And then with the song, take your time, revise phrase 1 and 2, keep working on 3 and 4, because the next day you're going to get to playing the whole song. Okay? And so you want to start practicing the whole song this time, right? But again, same thing, you want to work on your tone, right? You want to work on your tone and high note exercises. You want to work on your C major fingerings. Memorize them. Make sure you got them down. Then you want to work on your technique again. Maybe you want to do C major in thirds, or maybe you want to do arpeggios. It's a different technique exercise, right? Okay, it's where you skip over a note. C, skip D, go to E, skip F, go to G. Da, ba, ba. And then you go to the next note, D, skip E, go to F, skip G, go to A. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, so that's another technique exercise. And I talk about that in Saxophone from Scratch to Success and throughout the membership. And now we practice the whole song, the whole thing to a metronome. And you keep working on the entire thing. You've already worked on phrase 1 and 2. You've worked on phrase 3 and 4. Let's do the whole thing. So you see how everything builds on top of each other, right? Everything is building on top of each other so that you're able to reach your goals step by step. And that's the whole idea of this. This is how you create the perfect practice plan. You want a main goal of learning a song, for example, and then you want multiple objectives that help you with learning that song, but also help you with improving your tone, your scales, your technique. Okay? So right now, I want to open it up to questions to see if you're following me, to see if this makes sense, if there's other things you want me to cover, other examples. I'd love to know. So Gertie, I am playing tennis or alto sax. Okay. Everything I talked about today applies to every saxophone. Okay. Alto, tenor, baritone, soprano. So all the things that I'm talking about and the way I've laid out the different music is that an increasing difficulty. So, say you learn Amazing Grace on the tenor in that same key, it's not gonna be the same key as alto because it's a different key, right? Alto's an E flat instrument, tenor is a B flat instrument. But the technical part of it and the difficulty is going to be the same, right? Which is why I don't, especially in the saxophone from scratch to success course, I don't have different keys for the different saxophones, for different key for alto, different key for tenor, because I'm trying to show you how to improve step by step. And so, the tenor key for Amazing Grace, if you're playing on alto and C, right? If you play on alto and C, what's that on tenor? Okay, like that's where the transposition sheet comes in play, right? If we go into here, there's actually a transposition cheat sheet, right? And we click on here, and this will tell you, okay, if we play C major, on alto, what is it on tenor, right? There's a whole cheat sheet here that's going to help you with that, right? So here's tenor, soprano, baritone, alto, and lo and behold, C major on alto is going to be F major on tenor. Now, because I have C major and I have Amazing Grace earlier in the course, I want you to work on the C major before you work on F major. That's why I don't give you the song in F major for tenor, because I want you to work on the easier scale first, which is C major. So that's the meaning behind that. But if you want that transposition cheat sheet, you can check it out inside the Saxophone from Scratch to Success course. Let's see if we have any more questions. I hope that answers your question, Gertie. Okay, so Fred is asking, play a full and thin tone. Great question. Okay, so this is really important to work on, right? The goal of every sax player, in my opinion, is to have a full-bodied round tone, okay? A thin tone can be a preference for some saxophone players, especially classical saxophone players, right? But I encourage my students to have a full tone because it sounds better, right? So a thin tone, especially when you get up high, it's going to get thinner because you have a tendency to bite down. So in order to avoid that, you want to work on your high note exercises. You want to work on your breathing. Your breathing is going to stop you from biting down. If you that power from your diaphragm is going to stop you from needing to bite down on the reed, right? So a thin tone, if I don't take a deep breath, it's going to be like this. Right? So it sounds like it's being squeezed out, right? It sounds like it's not full. It's sort of thin and it's sort of not prominent, right? Right? What you want is you want to take a deep breath and you want to not keep your embouchure firm, but not bite down. Okay, bigger, rounder. Okay, and you want, and the same thing's going to happen in the lower octaves too. If you go thin, okay, it sounds thin. It doesn't sound full. It's missing some essential harmonics. Deep breath. Make sure you're opening your throat. Make sure you've been working on your different tone exercises. Now, it doesn't always mean that it's louder either. Okay, you can still have a full tone but play quieter. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Let's see what else we got. Joe says, I work on my long tones first, then work on scales and thirds, and then my song I'm working on, and then the song I'm working on, and trying improv too every day. Lots of work, but I enjoy playing too. That is excellent. That's excellent, Joe. Okay, that you're doing everything right then. You're doing everything right. So keep it up. Just always try to find ways to switch it up sometimes. Okay, you don't always have to practice in thirds. You could practice just in 2 octaves. You could practice in arpeggios, right? You can look at different ways of practicing the scale to keep it interesting. Okay. Manjeet, I've been playing for approximately 4 years. Occasionally I end up biting into my lower lip, but most of the time I do not. Do you experience this? When it happens, I start to question my mouth position. This is a great question too. Okay, so this is very common. Even experienced players still have this problem. And it can happen for a variety of reasons. It can happen because, number one, they've been playing for a long period, maybe performing for a long period, and they don't get their breathing correct, right? They lose that breath support because they've been playing so much. It's hard to keep getting that big full breath. Okay, so that's common. Your breath starts to become weaker, and because of that, you start to bite down to overcompensate. The other reason is that they might be playing those altissimo notes. So those altissimo notes that go outside of the range of the sax also require a huge amount of breath, and it can be quite hard to get them without biting down just a little bit, right? And so if a lot of players are playing long gigs and they're doing a lot of that altissimo stuff, it's very common to have like a sore bottom lip from playing all those higher register notes, okay? But it all comes down to your breathing and making sure you're focusing on that. I find myself not taking deep breaths sometimes in a gig. I'll find that my mouth gets sore, and I'll have to become conscious of taking deeper breaths when I'm playing, right? And so that would be my number one tip for that, okay? Mouth position can mouth position can have something to do with it too. Just make sure you're putting your embouchure in the right place. Fat lip embouchure, right? Revise the video on embouchure and make sure that you're putting your mouth up to where the reed and mouthpiece meet. Okay, that's a best position. And you may even want to take a little more mouthpiece into your mouth when you're playing higher. That can help with not biting down too. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. All right, so Terrence asks, maybe I'm overthinking improv, which is my favorite part of the saxophone, but it's really difficult for me to grasp. Suggestions, please. Yeah, this is it's a very difficult thing to grasp. I did because it's so subjective. That's why, right? It's so subjective, and everyone has their own approach to teaching improvisation. Everyone has their own approach to showing you how to learn improvisation, and it can be overwhelming. Um, because people make a living making it complicated, right? They're like, they want you to feel like, oh, this is so complicated, I can't get it, I need, people go to school to study for years just to learn improvising. I have broken it down with these inside the improvisation explain course, okay? And I have a masterclass in the live masterclass replays that I would recommend you check out, okay? And let's go back here. My courses. Because obviously that's a loaded question, right? There's so many things I can suggest, but I go into detail. First of all, there's the mastering, or I mean the improvisation explain course here, right? So check that out. That's going to help you with getting a better grasp. But then also, and this is what you should check out first. I did a masterclass on improvisation that sort of breaks it down in a simple way, and that's back in July, right? July 2021, improvisation explained. So if you go in there, I've got an entire masterclass that sort of breaks everything down for you to help you sort of simplify what it's about, right? And not overcomplicate it, because you can't just go straight into learning John Coltrane and Charlie Parker, or even like advanced soloing on pop records and pop solos. Like, you have to grasp the foundational concepts of what improvising is, which is actually not that complicated. It's not that complicated. It's really just making stuff up on the spot. You know what I'm saying? So in my course and in the masterclass, I kind of just break it down for you to really just start improvising with simple notes, simple chords, simple concepts, so you can just start to feel confident about, oh, I can make things up. I can make stuff up on the spot. You know, you don't have to understand exactly what you're doing. You don't have to understand harmony and chords and complex scales. You just have to have a feeling of, I'm able to just sit down, take a simple scale, right? Let's say G major, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And I'm able to start playing and make stuff up. Okay, that's all just 7 notes, G major, right? That's how I want people to start learning how to improvise, just taking a simple scale. Sometimes in the course, I actually only teach you how to use the pentatonic scale, which is just 5 notes. G pentatonic is G, A, B, D, E, right? 5 notes. Just start with that and start playing with it. That's how you should start with understanding improvising. Take a simple scale, 5 notes, start playing around it. I give you tons of exercises, tons of different ideas that you can take from, and then just play to a backing track, which I also have in the course, that you can start to improvise with. don't overcomplicate it. Don't start to say, I want to play giant steps. I want to play, these complicated jazz songs. Because if you can't do what I just did, in your own way, in your own simple, in your own way, with simple concepts, it's going to make it you're making it harder for yourself to learn all that other stuff. You need a foundation of just, okay, I'm going to use these few notes. I'm going to just try and express a melody. I'm going to play over this backing track and have fun. Most importantly, have fun with it, right? Just feel like you're able to just pick up the sax and play something, right? That's the first step. So I hope that helps. Check out those courses. All right, I love these questions. Pat says, I get this, Manjeet, playing 2 years, talking about biting down. Exactly. It's very, very common. Glad I'm not the only one, Manjeet says. PJ says, Pat says, I think it's got to do with getting tired. Exactly. Terrence, good topic. Fred says, currently learning to play Camp Town Races, not easy. Yeah, that can be a difficult song. Let me know what version you're learning, how you're learning it, what key it's in, and please play it for us. Record a video of how far you've got so far in that song, and I can give you some tips. I can give you some feedback on what you should do and what you should practice and what kind of exercises you should work on within those 5 core principles: the tone, technique, scales, improvisation, embellishments. It's probably just going to be those first 3: tone, technique, scales. But that's if you need help with that, I can help you with that song. Okay, that was Fred. All right. Pat says, so would taking a deeper breath also keep everything in tune all the time? It definitely 100% helps. Having that deep breath will help you with staying in tune 100%. Right? Having that power from your diaphragm that's stopping you from biting down, that's putting that power into the instrument, is going to help you keep in tune. And overtones too. Like I know, Pat, you've been working on your overtones. That's a great exercise for keeping in tune, especially when you do the matching overtone exercise, right? Where you play the high C. You're matching between the high C and the overtone. That's also going to help you with tuning, because you're going to be manipulating your throat to make sure that it is in tune, right? So I hope that answers your question. Manjeet, how much lip do you push over your bottom teeth? There are mixed views. My tutor says bend the lip over the bottom teeth. Others say just a tiny bit of the teeth, but more pushing out the lip. Right. So yeah, this is a point of contention. This is something that there are different schools of thought on. And that brings me back to the thin tone and the big warm tone, the big round tone, right? When you put your lip right over your teeth, like that, you're gonna have a tendency to have a thinner sound. Okay, that's the classical embouchure, right? It's a thin lip approach, where you don't see a lot of your outer lip when you're playing. All right. The fat lip approach is where you don't put all your lip over your bottom teeth. You do a va sound, and wherever your top teeth meet your bottom lip, va. That's where you put your bottom lip. So there's not a lot going over your bottom teeth. Okay, that's the fat lip, and then thin lip. Fat lip. Okay, so I go through all of that process in the embouchure tutorial in Saxophone from Scratch to Success. um, but yeah, there's different schools of thought. So your tutor may have been taught the classical method, and that's what he's always done, right? And I was taught that too, and I had to sort of change my approach because I wanted a bigger, rounder sound. I wanted to. I didn't like that thin sound that I was getting. So I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you have any more questions. Pat says he's got that high C and the C overtones. That's excellent. Glad to hear it. Okay, practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. So yeah, so I hope that helps with helping you plan out your practice sessions, right? You need to, if you want to start being more disciplined and start practicing more often, you need to have like a weekly goal. You need to be like, all right, I want to learn this song, or I'm going to learn the first two phrases of the song. Whatever, if it's a difficult song, I just want to learn the first 8 bars. Make that your goal, and then break down the different things you can work on. Okay, what can you work on in that song related to tone? Does it go really high? Okay, I need to work on my high notes. Does it go lower? I can't get those low notes. I need to work on the low notes. Do exercises related to what the song requires, right? Work on low note exercises, work on high note exercises. Are there passages that require a lot of breath? Keep working on your breathing, right? Then find things related to scales. What scale is this in? If it's in the key of G major, C major, F major, then simply learn that scale, finger through it, make sure you're memorizing all the fingerings, say it out loud, go through the whole range of the instrument. If you already find it too easy to get one octave, go through the whole range so you can get up those palm keys and know what those notes are in the palm keys, know what those notes are in the low notes that are kind of complicated. Work through them, practice them. And then technique, take that scale and start working on playing it in 2 octaves, playing it legato, playing it staccato, playing it tonguing every note, playing in thirds, playing arpeggios, whatever it is. If there's a break in the song where you have to go like from C to D, where there's a break in if there's a part in the song where you have to go through the break of the sax from C to D like that, from B to C, work on getting that smooth so you can play the song better. These are things you need to think about. And I didn't really get into the detail on improvisation and embellishments, but that's the other thing. If the song requires embellishments, right? Baker Street, for example, requires embellishments. Okay, I have it here. Baker Street requires that embellishment at the beginning. Okay, where you go up to the high D. Right, that's a glissando. So this is a great song to help you with learning how to embellish Baker Street. And do that glissando up to the high D. Excuse me. The smooth, the bends on this part here. Okay. Here, right? These are sort of bends. You're bending the notes here. Okay, there's a bend there too. So now you want to work on your bends. Okay, but that's more advanced stuff. Okay, you don't want to be doing this stuff if you're still in the beginner stages or you're still working on tone, technique, scales. If you're still really trying to build that foundation, don't go forward into embellishments because you're only going to get frustrated and it might create bad technique as well if you're trying to bend notes but you're not doing it the right way. Okay. And then improvising, if you want to learn how to improvise, say on a key like G major, When the Saints Go Marching In is a great song to work on. You can start playing this to a backing track. I want to work on improvising in G major or G pentatonic. I'm going to play along to this song and I'm going to improvise around it. Okay, so that's another objective you might have. I want to start being able to improvise in G major. Use this song as a foundation for that. Okay. Okay, so here, improvisation objectives. Become more connected with the instrument. Play the saxophone. Don't let it play you. Learn to hear a note and then be able to play it. Make it easier to learn these songs by ear, right? So if you're able to improvise around a key, say G major, like with When the Saints Go Marching In, it's going to make it easier to learn new songs, right? And improvise over other songs in G major. Be able to improvise using specific scales, right? Embellishments. Learn the techniques the pros use to make the songs they play sound unique. Develop your own style when it comes to playing songs and improvising. Make your saxophone playing sound jazzy. Learn different embellishments, including turns, bends, trills, glissandos, falls, grace notes, and growling. Okay, so there's some other objectives depending on the song that you're using. So Baker Street, it would use, glissandos and bends. And then there's other songs like Careless Whisper that also uses glissandos. Okay. So these are different songs that will help you with embellishments. See? So I hope you're going to be able now to put together your plan, put together a weekly plan, put together a daily plan. Helps keep you focused, help keep you motivated, and just always have the bigger goal in mind. I want to learn this song because I want to play it for my friends. I want to play it for my family. I want to go busking. I want to play it at my wedding. Okay? Whatever it is, have that vision to keep you motivated on focusing on all of these different objectives of working on tone, technique, scales. And that's kind of a good way to sort of plan your practice sessions and stay motivated, stay focused, have allocated times for each thing, and achieve your goals on the sax. So I hope this was fun, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a lot out of it. I'm going to sign off in a minute unless we have any more questions. Jan says, thank you. This was useful. You're welcome. Brilliant live session as always. You're welcome. Great class. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right. Well, listen, if you have any more questions, if anything else comes to mind, post in the community and let me know. And then also start posting your videos. Okay? Start posting your videos more often because this is how we're going to improve the most. Right? This is how we're going to improve the most by just getting feedback from a teacher, getting feedback from someone more experienced, someone to give you a little bit of guidance, to help you with your practice sessions, to help keep you motivated, keep you accountable. So, I had specific songs for you to learn every month, but I want you to try just posting whatever song you're working on. And maybe you haven't finished it yet. Maybe you're just halfway through it, whatever. Post it, get feedback from me. I can give you some advice. I can give you some help, point you to some exercises. And this is going to be the number one way to really improve on the saxophone. Okay? So I'd love to see more people in the community posting more videos. Happy to give you feedback. We're going to do another masterclass next week. Not next week, next month. Maybe a little bit earlier in the month because of the American holidays. We got Thanksgiving coming up. So I don't want people having to come to a live masterclass in the middle of Thanksgiving. Literally the last Thursday uh, of November is Thanksgiving. So I might do it earlier in that week or maybe the week before. I'll let you know via the Sax Circle Weekly, the newsletter. And I really appreciate everyone turning up today. This was a lot of fun. I love getting your questions, really great questions. So I'm very excited about doing these master classes. And let me know if there's any suggestions that you have for other master classes. You know, anything you want me to discuss in more detail, I will put something together and I will answer any of your questions. So that's what this is all about. This is all about really just serving you, you know, especially the people that come to these things and are putting the time and energy to actually turn up and attend these classes. I want to help you in wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, whatever you need help with. I'd be happy to do a whole masterclass on whatever topic you want. So I really appreciate it. Fred says, have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy the Cardinals game tonight. All right, so again, I'm going to let you guys go. So hard to let you guys go. I'm having so much fun here. But I will talk to you soon. Send me an email. Post any questions in the community, and we'll talk soon. All right, see you guys. Guys and girls.